WLNS is here for you, celebrating 75 years of bringing you the news with 6 News at 11.
We have new information from Lansing Police involving their investigation on an infant death from earlier today. It's our top story at 11. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Jorma Duran. Lansing Police unveil a new detail about what happened, but as of right now, the situation and circumstances are still very unclear. Here's what we know so far. Police were called to a home on Dunlap Street early this morning after an infant passed away. Officers removed the body, but later, police returned to the house, this time with CSI and a warrant. 6 News spoke to police, and they have not revealed any sort of suspicion or made any arrest at this time. Stay with 6 News, and we'll keep you updated when we learn more. A new bill introduced in the State House, if passed, would create a deportation task force with the sole aim of helping to facilitate the arrest and deportation of illegal immigrants in Michigan. Under this bill, the Speaker of the State House would assemble the task force from state lawmakers, law enforcement, and local elected officials. The Speaker would then have total control of who is appointed, including the ability to dismiss any member at any time. In addition, the task force would create recommendations for how state lawmakers can help deport more illegal immigrants and training for law enforcement agencies. The task force would also be completely immune to the Freedom of Information Act, and any state officer would be required by law to give members of the task force whatever assistance they require for official duties. The bill is now in the hands of the State House Committee on Government Operations, and 6 News will keep you updated. Another bill in the State House would require all firearm components manufactured, sold, or imported to Michigan to have serial numbers. If passed, it would mean that owning any gun or component that is not traceable is a crime. The bill specifically mentions ghost guns, which are usually sold as kits or made at home to get around normal registration requirements. Under this bill, 3D printing a gun would be illegal without a license to manufacture firearms. That bill went to the State House Committee on Judiciary. Turning to national politics, President Donald Trump signed an executive order today giving pharmaceutical companies 30 days to lower the cost of drugs in America. Under the order, the health department will negotiate those new price tags over the next month. If a company does not reach a deal, the price of its drugs will be capped and tied to the prices charged in other countries. President Trump signed a similar order near the end of his first term covering a limited number of drugs. Pharmaceutical companies are pushing back on the order. One high-ranking lobbyist says, quote, importing foreign prices from socialist countries would be a bad deal for American patients and workers. Speaking of prices, the U.S. and China are giving their companies a break from the massive tariffs imposed over the past couple of months. A new 90-day agreement lowers the U.S. tariff on Chinese goods to 30% and the Chinese tariff on American goods to 10%. Raquel Martin is here for you now with the details.
Following weeks of tit-for-tat tariffs and tough talk, the U.S. and China are temporarily calling a truce.
The talks in Geneva were very friendly.
President Donald Trump confirms over the weekend in Geneva, Switzerland, top U.S. and Chinese negotiators agreed to drastically reduce sky-high tariffs. The U.S. will bring tariffs on Chinese goods down from 145% to 30%. And China will lower tariffs on U.S. goods from 125% to 10%.
We're not looking to hurt China.
China calls the agreement a win-win.
This is like a sumo match. What you've seen is a lot of foot stomping.
Bill Reinsch, the former president of the National Foreign Trade Council, says a deal was inevitable.
Both sides have a lot at stake. Both sides have an interest in getting beyond this.
The agreement, however, lasts just 90 days. President Trump says both sides must work toward more fair trade conditions that allow U.S. businesses to sell more goods in China.
Because if you think about it, we opened up our country to China, and they didn't open their country to us. Never made sense to me. It's not fair.
Reinsch has doubts the U.S. can leverage much access.
It's a good goal, and I think Trump is right to focus on it. But so did Biden, so did Obama, so did both Bushes, so did Clinton.
If a deal does not arise in 90 days, President Trump says expect tariffs to go back up, but not as high as 145%. In Washington, Raquel Martin.
This week is Police Week, and communities around Michigan have scheduled special events to pay tribute to their law enforcement officers. Tonight, the city of Leslie held a public event at its gazebo honoring those who wear the badge. Organizers say it's important to let police know that they appreciate the risks they take to keep communities safe.
They always respond when we call, no matter how they feel, no matter what they're doing. And we just felt it really important to celebrate them and give some love back to them, and that's why we decided to do this. We're really looking forward to just really showing them our love and our thanks for what they do day in and day out to keep us safe.
All the way back in 1962, President John F. Kennedy declared March 15th Police Officers Memorial Day, and the week in which it falls is Police Week. It's almost summer in Michigan, and that means cherries will soon be back on store shelves. But experts say the industry might be hard hit this year by spring weather. For example, out west in California, San Joaquin County produces 80% of the state's cherries with 19,000 acres of orchards. But 43% of that land has been damaged by heavy rain. Closer to home, Michigan State University closely monitors the crop and found damage in both sweet and tart cherries this month, but they are still assessing how bad the damage is.